And we're live. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Wheel Talk, the podcast with a guy in a wheelchair and a girl in a wheelchair. Hello, Brittany.
Hello, Fred. We are on a different day today for anybody that is seeing us go live today. And they're like, what? Why are you live on Monday? I'm traveling tomorrow, so we're just kind of getting it out of the way before the holidays, and we didn't want to miss it. So, welcome to a Monday Wheel Talk.
There you go. Well, Britt, you set this one up, and it's
I
called
did.
I Didn't Accomplish My Goals This Year. Here's what I learned. So, over
Yeah.
to you.
Yeah. So, I wanted to do like a year review and just talk about the things that I said I was going to do, see if I accomplished any of them. And then I made a list of things that I actually did do all year. And then have a conversation about intention, why it's so important, and why goals are actually counterproductive in a lot of ways. So let's sort of jump into it.
Let's
In
go.
my book here, which I've literally used like 4 pages of because I live in my head, but I wrote in the beginning of the book my goals for my goals to accomplish before 2026. So I have like a whole bunch of goals. So I'm going to read them all, and spoiler alert, it's terrible. I didn't accomplish any of them. Obviously, the podcast title says that. But okay, so here's what I wanted to do in my career. I wanted to finish every course that I have purchased because I have like some courses I purchased on lots of things like having an online business, how to make better Instagram content, this stuff like that, that I want to be a better content creator just in general. Number two, I want to effectively monetize my income streams. So my merch, which I actually like have made more merch. I just don't talk about it ever or wear the stuff, which I should. My Patreon, do a better job of reaching out to brands that I actually use so that I can, do reviews or have affiliate marketing and all that stuff. Oh, Joe brought me hot water. I had water,
Oh.
but it wasn't hot enough. Thank you. Tom today brought me more hot water. Three, create a coaching program, which I've been talking about forever. Um, Four, create a content batching system so that I can stay consistent. So that's what I wanted to do in my career. Didn't do any of it. Wealth, I wanted to build a house on an acreage to start an Airbnb, which I did sort of start the process of that. And we could talk a little bit about that today too, because it was a little disheartening once you actually go and figure out how much stuff costs. I wanted to pay down my mortgage. And then health wise, I wanted to wake up every day at 5 a.m., do my shoulder and forearm exercises, and figure out what's going on with my gut so I can like heal my skin. So those were all the things that I wanted to do before 2026, and I didn't do any of them. And the whole reason that I didn't do any of them is because I didn't set any intentional habits that actually got me to my goals. And the reason that habits are so important is because they are the systems that actually get you to where you want to be. And I wanted to read a little bit of some stuff from a book that I love. It's by James Clear. The book is Atomic Habits, and I've read it a couple of times. Obviously, I'm terrible at implementing anything. Obviously, I would be better if I had implemented any of the stuff I read. But so one of the things that he talks about is that while goals give us direction, systems are crucial for progress. And you always fall to the level of your systems, not rise to the level of your goals. So, unless you build things into your life that are actually habit goals that allow you to do something on a daily basis in a consistent manner that allows you to build to something, then you're not going to get there. And that's the whole reason that I didn't accomplish my goals this year. So, I don't know if you want to comment on anything I've said so far, or you just want me to keep rolling and talking.
Yeah, no, I think it's good. I think that goals are definitely important. That gives you a clear direction to go in. And if you're moving without a direction, then you might not be moving in the right direction without the goals to steer you.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, keep going.
Okay. So I think goals are definitely like a compass, but without, gas in your car and a vehicle to get there and a plan to have the money to get to where you're going to buy the gas. You're not going to get to your destination. So I just wanted to read a little bit of this article that's actually an excerpt from the book, and just talk about a little bit more about why goals are counterproductive in the long run. Okay, so he talks about in here, just let me see where I want to start this. Okay, so he says prevailing wisdom claims that the best way to achieve what you want in life, getting into shape, building a successful business, relaxing more, worrying less, spending more time with friends and family, is to set specific actionable goals. And there's actually like a whole thing where it's like SMART goals, where they are measurable, they have a timeline, all these things, right? And he says, for many years, this was how I approached my habits too. Each one was a goal to be reached. I set goals for the grades I wanted to get in school, for the weight I wanted to be, or the weight I wanted to lift in the gym, blah, 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 blah. Eventually, I began to realize that my results had very little to do with the goals I set and nearly everything to do with the systems that I followed. If you're a coach, your goal might be to win a championship, but your system is the way you recruit players, manage your assistant coaches, and conduct practice. If you're a musician, your goal might be to play a new piece, but your system is how often you practice, how you break down and tackle difficult measures, and your method for receiving feedback from your instructor. So those are all things that you have to put in place in order to achieve that goal. And he says this interesting question: if you completely ignored your goals and focused only on the systems, would you still succeed? So I'll ask you that. What do you think? If you completely ignored the end goal, like if you completely ignored, I want to lose weight or become healthier, if you completely ignored that goal but instead focused on the systems of meal prepping and portion control and all that stuff, would you reach the ultimate goal? I don't know. What do you
Yeah,
think?
yeah. I
Yeah.
think that you would, but I still think that you need the goal to begin with. Um, yeah, I understand what you're saying. I really do, and I've read the book myself, and it is good. I definitely had when I read the book, I had a sort of an epiphany of like, oh, the side effect of me going to the gym 3 times a week was I kind of like accidentally got really buff. You know what I mean? I was like,
Yeah.
oh yeah, like I wasn't like planning on just like getting really buff, but I was like, oh, that's what happens when you consistently show up at the gym and eat healthy. So I know what you mean. Like if my
Yeah.
goal was specifically to get super buff, then I would have followed that plan. But I followed that plan just because it became a habit, and once you got a habit, in place, it's hard to break. So yeah,
Yeah.
I completely understand what you're saying. Yeah.
I think that, yeah, I think you do have to have a goal in order to set the habits. Because if you don't have a goal around which you're setting the habits, then what are you setting the habits for, right? So I do
Hmm.
think that they go hand in hand. But I think that it's so important that you have systems. And one of the things that I am very good at is setting up systems around things that are easily frustrate me. So my bowel routine was frustrating me because I felt bloated and all that stuff. So I set up systems in order to make sure that I could poop every day. That was easy because it was frustrating me to not poop every day or not have bowels that moved often enough. And I set up systems in order to make sure that I get up at the right time in order to get to where I need to go. I have a system for if I get constipated, what am I going to do first? Well, I'm going to eat this many prunes. I'm going to drink some ginger tea. If that doesn't work, then I move to the next thing in my system. And I have that pretty well like on lock. And it's so easy for me to do it in the health sort of realm, or not even health realm, just like something that has to do with my spinal cord injury that I feel like I have to do and I don't have
Hmm.
a choice about, then I do it. My stretches, I don't ever not do stretches in the morning. I just don't. I just wake up. That's the first thing that I do. Drink water. I always drink water. There's nothing in my day or in my world that's going to stop me from drinking an adequate amount of water. And it's built habits that allow me to stay healthy. I haven't had a, UTI in 2 years or whatever, right? So those things are so easy for me, but the other things that aren't immediate, I have to do this, otherwise I'm not going to poop. I have to do this, otherwise I'm going to get a bladder infection. I have to do this. They're goals that I set habits for that prevent pain and discomfort, but the ones that are more aspirational, I have a really hard time achieving. And I'm not sure if anybody can relate to that. But I run from pain more than I run towards pleasure. And I don't know if it's harder to set goals that don't necessarily reduce pain, but increase pleasure. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I think that's very common for a lot of people actually. Like avoiding pain is more of an incentive than to the the reward. You know.
Yeah. Which is like, it's so hard because some of the things that you are avoiding pain for, especially if they're like aspirational. Like, yes, the pain of regret of being like, I didn't do all these things for a whole year, but it's not the pain that's like as tangible or as real to me as if I like don't poop for 5 days and I'm so bloated and I feel sick and all of that stuff, right? So I think it's less easy to set those goals that that are increasing something that's already good in your life. Like you say, you talk a lot about your life being very comfortable. And so it's
Hmm.
hard to want to set goals when you're already like, I'm pretty okay as I am.
Hmm.
And the goals, even though I would probably be happier and I would probably have more good stuff, there's nothing like pressing. Whereas if there's like a pain point that you want to avoid or get rid of, then it's much easier to set those goals. Um,
Yeah,
I,
I would
I'll,
agree. I think it's very unnatural to move towards discomfort, when you're because like even going to work is something I really loved. Well, and I do really enjoy the job, but since doing it every day and starting really early in the morning, I'm like, oh, do you know what I mean? It's starting to become a bit of a grind. And even though it's uncomfortable, and I'm like, oh, God, do you remember when I could just lay in every morning? I'm already sort of like looking in the rear view, or sorry, yeah, I guess looking in the rear view mirror, thinking, oh, with rose tinted glasses, like, oh, imagine. Do you remember when I could just get up whenever I wanted? But that
yeah.
was really unsatisfying. It was unsatisfactory. There was no purpose, there was no drive. It was just, my days were boring. But now I'm like, oh, comfort. Like I was craving
Yeah.
comfort. Now I'm uncomfortable. But ultimately, I'm growing. I'm practicing every day. I'm social. It's just for me personally, it's the early mornings, man. Oh God, I'm just not a morning person.
So if you could work every day at like 3 p.m., would that be much
Oh,
more
the
satisfying?
dream, the dream.
Really?
No, a
Oh,
little bit
that
of a
sounds
mixture. A mixture of the two would be good. It's just the last like 5 days I've had to start at 6:45 in the morning, and it is really, really taken it out of me. Like I try so hard to go to bed early, but I'm like nervous. I'm anxious in my sleep. I wake up like, oh, am I late for work? And it's 4 o'clock. I'm like, oh no, I've got to go to bed. And then I can't. I don't know. It's
yeah.
really it's anxiety inducing, and I don't like it. Whereas I could just wake up whenever I want. And I've got I go to bed. I go to work at 3 o'clock. It means that I've got loads of time in the morning to get there. I'm just struggling with the adjusting to the early mornings. It's something I'm not used to.
I do agree having to work in the morning is much more stress inducing than somewhere you have to be later on because
Yeah.
you have a lot of time to get there. If something happens, nothing's gonna mess that up. And a lot of the times when I'm leaving for work in the morning, I'm just like I'm so rushed. And
Yeah.
that's why I try to make my lunch at night. I try to make sure that the kids are set up with things because if I don't, then I'm just like, what am I doing? Am I clean? I'm doing dishes. I'm trying to make my bed. I'm trying to get my like it's just too much. And half the time now, because Jacob parks behind, we only have so many parking spots in our driveway and our garage and stuff. So somebody's always parked in my way in order to get out of the garage. And so I'm like, forget to tell them to move their car. And then I'm like, oh my God, now you have to start your car and warm it up for 5 minutes. And oh,
Mm.
it's just, yeah, it's a lot. So yeah, mornings are definitely more stressful.
This time of year as well, like especially like as well, it was the solstice yesterday, right? So it's like the
Yeah.
shortest days of the year. Getting up so much more before the sun. Like I'm getting up
Yeah.
2 hours before the sun rises. It is. It messes with my circadian rhythm. My body's just like, what are you doing? Like I'm so exhausted. And the other day I asked ChatGPT, I'm like, it's 9 o'clock. I've had 400 milligrams of caffeine. Why am I so tired? And it actually gave me some really good advice. In fact, this is a little bit of a tangent. I know we're sort of like veering off a little bit,
All
but
good.
I've been having caffeine first thing in the morning to try and wake me up. And then I've been also not drinking that much water because I don't want too many toilet breaks because I don't want to be so disruptive at work. Oh, this guy's going to the toilet every half an hour. So, and then in the end, it was kind of obvious. I was like, oh yeah, I've been like smashing caffeine and not drinking enough water. And ChatGPT was like, hey, chill out, man. Like, what? Try and like delay your first caffeine in the morning. Hydrate yourself. Don't be scared of drinking water and electrolytes and and stuff like that. Hydration is really key for energizing yourself. And I was like, oh, okay. So I've started to readjust little things, but I remember I was thinking, what, 400 milligrams? It's 9 a.m. and I'm like so exhausted. What the hell? Like, surely I should be buzzing my tits off. And ChatGPT was like, that's not really how it works. Like, it's counterintuitive. You need to like your adenosine system and your cortisol spikes. You need to manage those things in the morning. And I was like, oh wow, that's great advice. Thank you. And I've been managing it a little bit better. But yeah, it's just my body's just not enjoying the early mornings. But it is what it is.
I genuinely like early mornings, so the stress doesn't bother me as much. Plus, I'm like so used to having to get kids up for school that I think I'm just used to it. But yeah, and I don't drink coffee. Otherwise, I don't know what that would be like if I had to down a bunch of coffee. But I do drink a lot of water in the morning, and it's really annoying when you have to pee at your job. I mean, like the other day, I peed so many times. I thought I was getting a bladder infection actually, but it wasn't. I just had a whole bunch of pee to come out of me. And then I taught at a grade 4 class last week, or no, it was the beginning of this week. And the kids were like, again, you have to pee again? I was like, yes, again. I'm like, I'm going to be gone for another 4 minutes. And it was like terrible because they were just like, again? I'm like, sorry guys, I have to go. So yeah, I totally get the trying to dehydrate yourself so that doesn't happen. I'm going to just continue talking about this article because I want to get through this. I also want to talk about this giveaway because I really like the book Atomic Habits. I'm going to reread it and I'm going to do a giveaway in this episode. So anybody that comments in this live stream, if you comment #habits, it has to have the hashtag. So #habits at the end of the podcast, then we'll do like a live draw and I'll send you the book for Christmas. So yeah, put that in the comments. So I'm just gonna do it. If I draw my name, then I'll take it out. But this is what you have to put in #habits. Okay, so why are goals less good than systems? So number one problem with goals is that winners and losers have the same goals. And in this section, he talks about the winner of the Tour de France and the loser of the Tour de France had the same goal, and one won and one didn't. Or the person who came in very last place had the same goal. And obviously their level of athletic ability, their training regimen, all of that stuff differed. And so why does one win and why doesn't the other one, right? So he's like, goals don't only get you so far because a lot of people have the same goals. People that go in for a job interview have the same goal of getting the job. And obviously one person is more qualified, more prepared, all that stuff. Number two, achieving a goal is only a momentary change. And I think this one is so powerful, especially for me, and why habits matter so much more than goals for me, because everything that I ever accomplish, I'm always like, like I thought having a YouTube channel, I was like, once I get 1,000 subscribers, I'm going to be, oh my God, it's going to feel so cool. I get 1,000 subscribers and I feel super grateful to the people who watch my channel. But that actual number on the screen doesn't mean anything to me because it's the comments, the individual comments that I get from people that say, this helped me so much. I will take those and read them to Joe, and I will save them, and they make me feel so good. Emails that I get, those things matter more to me. And I've gotten those from, 2 subscribers all the way to how many I have now. And so those things matter more to me than like the number on the screen. And even like monetary things, I do want, to have some monetary compensation for the time that I put in for things, because I don't want to just, do everything for free, but it also doesn't fill me up as much as the impact that I'm making. So all of these goals that I seem to set don't actually once I reach something that seems like an arbitrary, level, it just doesn't make me super happy. And so, yeah, he talks about that goals are just like a momentary change, and then there's on to the next thing. So it's always the habits that you're building and the person you're becoming along the way that's more important. And then problem number 3 is goals restrict your happiness. So I'm going to read this one just so that I get it right. The implicit assumption behind any goal is that once I reach my goal, then I'll be happy. The problem with a goals first mentality is that you're continually putting happiness off until the next milestone. And this is so important. I just saw a TikTok the other day from a guy that was newly paralyzed. Well, not so newly paralyzed, a couple years out, but he said, once I can transfer better, once I have more confidence, once I have my bowel and bladder under control, then I'll be happy, then I'll be happy, then I'll be happy. And it's so true, especially with spinal cord injury, because a lot of people wait to live their lives until they think the spinal cord injury is going to be easier, or there's some, thing that they're reaching that's going to allow them to just accept their disability and be happy. And really what we all discover eventually, I think, when we find happiness is just that there has to be happiness among all that stuff. I peed my pants yesterday on my what was it on Saturday when I was doing my like Zoom hangout with all of my people. I peed my pants like right in the middle of it, but I'm like, whatever. I'm already peed my pants. My butt's wet. I may as well just finish the thing. So I wasn't like, I have to go. This is a horrible thing. I was just like, whatever. I don't care. I peed my pants. I had to like clean the couch because I was sitting on the couch. Super annoying. But I didn't let it ruin my day. And I just like moved on with things. And so I think that's so important because goals only get you so far. You have to be happy while you're trying to achieve them. Otherwise, what's the point? And then number 4, goals are at odds with long-term progress. So that can like long-term progress in terms of it creating a yo-yo effect. And this happens with so many people that are like bodybuilders or anybody that does a diet to lose weight and then they gain it back again. So you have the goal only for so long and then you lose the lifestyle and you don't actually maintain any of the consistency. And that is like something that I'm terrible for in terms of if there's an external like push, I will create a goal. So a lot of the times I've set a thing to do a meditation with a friend group. So I led the meditation. So I did the meditations every day for 30 days because I had somebody to show up to. And after that, there was like no accountability. So it creates this yo-yo thing. And I do that a lot in my life instead of just setting up a consistent pattern that feels repeatable. Like my stretches, I always do them. It's just non-negotiable. I wouldn't even think about not doing them. Excuse me. So yeah, in the end, he says, none of this is to say in this article that goals are useless. However, I found that goals are good for planning your progress and systems are good for actually making the progress, which I think is so important. Goals can provide direction and even push you forward in the short term, but eventually a well-designed system will always win. Having a system is what matters, and committing to the process is what makes the difference. And I can think back to when I was a manager at a nonprofit called the Tetra Society. So I managed the nonprofit here in Edmonton, and I recruited volunteers and I did a whole bunch of different things. And I had somebody that volunteered to be a strategic advisor for the chapter because he said, you have no lack of vision. It's not a vision problem. It's a systems problem. And so this has been for years and years and years an issue with me. And I don't really know how to fix it. So if anybody has any ideas, how do you become better at systematizing your life and making things routine other than to just do it? I don't know. But I see a couple people have hashtag habits in. So happy that a couple people maybe want to read the book with me.
Yeah, anyway, I was going to say with the goals thing, it is interesting how once you achieve a goal, it seems like something that you really want. And it's nice to like work towards it, but I think working towards your goal is sometimes a lot better than achieving your goal. Once you've done it, you're like, oh, because I remember, like you said, when you like, I think every YouTuber tries to get 1,000 subscribers because that's when you can get monetized. And now looking back, it was worthwhile, but I never even ask people to subscribe these days because I just feel like it's just noise. Like anytime anyone asks me to I don't think I've ever subscribed to a video because someone said subscribe. I'm just like, oh, this guy's content is good. I want to see more of it. I will subscribe. You don't have to ask me. Anyway, my point is, when I got 1,000 subscribers, it was like this very like I was like, hey, yeah, I got, and then it was like a little win, but then that was it. And then I thought, oh, I could monetize my videos. If I'd have known how little money like YouTube would give me, I wouldn't have. It's just one of those milestones, isn't it? But yeah, and then once you achieve it, it's you look in the rearview mirror and it kind of means nothing. I just passed 4,000 subscribers, and I could see it ticking up, and it was like 3,998, blah blah blah. And then it was 4,003, and I was like, hey, there you go. And that was it. And then I checked, and then it went to 4,001. I was like, oh, I just lost 2 subscribers. I was like, who unsubscribes? I don't know. But it was very funny how like 1,000 subscribers was a really big milestone for me. But 4,000, even though it's 4 times bigger, it was just like, I didn't even screenshot it or share it with anyone. I think I might have told Chris, I was like, hey, I just hit 4,000. She's like, oh, cool. And that was it. It's kind of...
I know.
Yeah.
I know. I always think that there's like some number that will feel super cool. So I just reached 7 million views on YouTube the other day. And I'm always like, what number is super cool? Do you know what I mean? Like there's YouTubers that reach 7 million views in a day, in a couple of hours, and I'm like, is that cool? Or does it all just reach some level of like, you know what I mean? And so, and I also think that there's, I was just reading in the book that I'm currently reading, The Art of Spending Money, which I've talked about on the last 3 podcasts. It's a very good book, but he talks about once you stop striving for something, or once you stop the process where you're working towards something, then there's like this level of like depression almost that a lot of people get. And so I just think that it's the striving for something that actually gives you purpose. And once you reach it, it's kind of like, okay, now what? So I'm not sure why I have such a hard time doing all of these aspirational things, but I think it's mostly just I don't set the time and the intentional like time blocking. This is what I'm going to do on Monday morning kind of thing. And then I let other things get in the way that I just, social media use, me saying yes to volunteer opportunities, which I'm actually very proud of. I do a lot of volunteering, but I never know how much is too much. So I thought maybe now we'd like switch gears, because obviously I didn't accomplish a lot of my goals that I said I was going to accomplish, but I did do some stuff. So I thought maybe we could share some of the things that we did over the past year. And I know you've done a lot. So do you want to start?
Yeah, sure. We can go that way. I was just going to say before that, I was talking about the subscriber count. And once you have, like, for example, like you and I have quite like evergreen content. And and people are always getting newly injured, and people are always finding videos. For example, one of my most popular videos is cheap or free things that help me every day as a wheelchair user. That is just like a really evergreen, having a tray on your lap. Like if you'd be like, oh my God, a tray on your lap. It's so obvious, right? So, but like if you're newly injured, you're like, wow, that's amazing. I don't have to, if I'm working in the kitchen, or like little things like just, and it's such a great video. Cheap or free things that help me every day. Anyway, I remember thinking Richard from Wheels to Walking back when he was really, really, really trying to get to like 100,000 subscribers, and I get it. That's like a really good goal to aim for. But I remember thinking, you'll get there. Like your channel has got momentum. Even if you stopped making content now, your channel will easily get to 100,000, because it's one of the most popular channels for spinal cord injuries. It's got evergreen content. You could do nothing and you'd get there eventually. You know what I mean? It's got momentum. It just keeps ticking over. If you've got like a YouTube channel, sometimes you don't have to get people to subscribe. It just happens. It just grows. Like YouTube has a lot of users, and your content gets pushed out. So it's really interesting, isn't it? And like they are kind of vanity metrics, because like you said before, with the comments mean so much. Like a heartfelt comment means more than 4,000 subscribers or whatever. It's like, and because you're reaching out and touching people, and also whether it's you're helping someone and like, oh, I found this really helpful, thank you, or just a genuine like cheerleader, like, hey, you put a big smile on my face because you've got a great positive attitude, or I'm really happy for your success. I'm like, oh, amazing, that's so cool, and keep going, you're going in the right direction, and just that wonderful feedback is means so much more than like the vanity metrics of like, oh look, I've got like a little thing on the wall that that YouTube has given me approval for. Yeah, it doesn't really matter, does it? Like, or a number, underneath your name on YouTube. It doesn't matter. It's like it's the content and the connection that really matters.
It really does. And for me, that's huge. I even put in here, which I'll read this to you too, because this is like my three big things that I care about in the world. I want to create things, be a kick-ass content creator, make fun, engaging content. That's what I want to do. I want to connect with people, have kick-ass communities and programs that help people live better lives with spinal cord injuries or disabilities. And I want to contribute. So I want to volunteer for meaningful things, and I want to donate my money to things that help people with disabilities or other, things that I care about in the world. So I have like 3 C's: create, connect, and contribute. Those are the things that I care about. And I think that those need to be like my compasses for what I say yes to, because I have a really hard time saying no to things. And one of the things I spent a lot of time on this year was being part of the planning committee for International Day for Persons with Disabilities in my community. So every other person, and not that it little bothered me a little bit. Every other person on the committee was part of it through an organization that they were employed at. So Camp Hee Ho Ha is like a camp for kids with disabilities. Goodwill is a nonprofit for people with developmental disabilities. And all of the people that were volunteering were getting paid by their job to be there at the time of all of the planning. So I was the only community member who was a volunteer. So I volunteered all of my time, and I took on a huge part of it. So much so that when we did like the recap of it, sort of like that, how did it go? One of the people thought that I was like in charge, and that I was like, you know what I mean? And I'm like, I was not in charge. They thought that I was like second to the girl on the community, like she works for the city, who was like in charge of it. And I'm like, no, I wasn't in charge of it at all. But I got asked to be a part of it. And because I was a part of it, I wanted to make it better than it was last year. And so I spent so much of my time and energy on this thing and had tons of meetings for it. And in the end, I'm like, it did help people with disabilities for sure. But did it really? It's a community event that people think is for people, only for people with disabilities. It's for lots of disabilities. So it's not just for spinal cord injury. And I did enjoy the time that I spent there, but it was very like hectic and stuff. So I get wrapped up in things like that because I do a lot of volunteering. So people are like, Brittany, you should ask her to do stuff. And I feel bad saying no. So I don't know how to filter the opportunities that come my way, and see which ones are good and which ones are bad. Because I honestly get so many people asking me to do things, and a lot of them I love and some of them I don't, but I still just say yes to them anyway, because I always feel like they're helping the disability community. I'm not sure what to say no to. But anyway, if we want to like, what did we do this year? So you just heard of one of the things that I did a lot of this year. And we know a lot of the things you did this year, Fred, but why don't you give a recap for the people? Because you've done a lot of shit this year. Cool stuff.
Well, thanks. Yeah, I mean, when we spoke earlier, you said this episode would be a year in review video.
Yeah.
So I hadn't anticipated it starting with in that way. So I had sort of prepared for like a little bit of a year in review. I guess the year in review for me, it's been a bloody great year. It's been a very, very good year. So I started last year. We did the whole. So we've been doing the podcast, obviously, the entire year of 2025, very consistently. That's something to be very proud of. We did start off doing like New Year goals, which faded quite quickly. I started out, finished my office job. Then I began a long period of unemployment, but I did have some holidays which were great. Had some summer holidays which were very fun, and I made a lot of cool content around those holidays which were well edited and put a lot of thought into. I was very happy with that. So I've documented it along the way. I've made some really nice videos this year that I've been really proud of. My summer was great, but again a little bit lackluster, not because it was necessarily a terrible summer. It was just because of the lack of, I think, structure and routine. I didn't rise to the level of my structure and routine. I fell to the level of my free time. My free time wasn't a valuable resource, so I
Yeah.
took it for granted. And ironically, did so much less. We didn't take the boat out once. I've got like a big inflatable kayak. We didn't take that out once on the lake this year. So yeah, it was all right. The summer was okay. Could have been better. Like I could have got a job. I think getting a job would have definitely helped me achieve more. It's a very counterintuitive thing, which I think that's one of the lessons I've learned, is that having structure and routine and a job makes you feel part of a community and just gives me so much more than it takes away. Obviously, asking Chris to marry me was a huge highlight. Now I've got a fiance. That was a brilliant time. We went again on another holiday in the UK, where we did a nice retreat, which was really nice. And then seeing my parents and spending some time in Southampton, which was again had its ups and downs and its challenges. But I felt like I rose to the level of like the son that I would, and the brother and the family member that I thought, the problem with my mum and her health and stuff.
Yeah.
I felt like it was being swept under the rug, and I felt like I got to Southampton and I was like, hey, listen, everybody, let's stop ignoring the elephant in the room. Mum is quite ill. Let's try and get some help for everyone. That was very, very uncomfortable. But again, I felt like I was equipped with the tools to do that. And then, I trained as a croupier. I worked a poker tournament. That was great. I also documented it, which was really also fun because I've got that to look forward to. I shared the journey. There's a lot of people cheering me on. And then now I've got the job at the supermarket and my French is improving. And again, that has given me structure, routine, and a part of the community, which I've been missing. There was the snow, which was a challenge. And every now and then I haven't made a consistent upload schedule because, like I said to you before, I don't feel like there's ever any need to make a video for the sake of making a video. But if there's something I really want to share, if I've got a stream of consciousness, if I've got a video in me, I'm like, oh, I could talk about this. This would be juicy. This would be something people would resonate with. I've delivered on that. And yeah, it's been a good year. It's been a great year. But also, I have to say, that's the highlight reel. There's been a lot of days where I've just sat down and looked at YouTube for many, many hours, and it's been a real waste of my bloody time. So with all the highlight reels that you've seen on YouTube, there's been a lot of downtime where it's instead of me creating, it's just like this. It's just me like this. Yeah. So many hours and hours and hours and hours of me just looking at this thing. And I sometimes think the dog must think he's praying to this thing. He's worshipping this thing, and so if there's, of all the highlights of this year, if there's one thing I could change, it would be to look at this thing less. It's awful. I'm so very grateful that I do not sleep with it in my bedroom. So I don't the first hour and the last hour of the day are no phone, and that's non-negotiable. That's absolutely great. And it's a fantastic habit to keep. But yeah, there you go. That's the highlights and the lowlights. Basically a fantastic year, but just addicted to my bloody phone.
That's awesome. Yeah, I know you did so much cool stuff. Okay, so my turn. I tried to do it month by month, but I was not good. That was confusing me. So I just wrote a list in no particular order. I sponsored 3 projects at the it's a technical college here for engineering students, and I always sponsor projects that are related to disability that the students work on as their capstone project for their final project in their term. So I sponsored 3 of those. So I spend time with students talking about different disability related gaps in, products out there. And then they pick one to try and fix. So I did that. So I got to meet a lot of great students there. I taught a bunch of classes at the local rehab hospital and mentored a bunch of people, not specifically, but in the classes I mentored them. And then a couple of people outside of the classes, we latched onto each other, and I've been working with a couple of people individually. I am and still part of a patient and family advisory committee at the hospital that helps consult on different things in the hospital to make it better for patients. I joined a research project for outcome measures for spinal cord injury rehab. I'm still part of that. I've done the podcast weekly with you, Fred. I went to Disneyland, and me and Jamie flew all by ourselves and rented a car and hung out a lot of the time by ourselves because Jacob was in a boxing thing. Um, I traveled alone to Phoenix right after I got back from Disneyland, so that was fun, and went to like a girls' mastermind thing. I spoke at the Spinal Cord Injury Alberta conference. I spoke on a peer panel at the Glenrose to doctors about what it's like to be a patient, to have patient-centered care. I drove a quad for the first time all by myself, which was fun. I almost bought a rental property twice, and I went to a bunch of different things to learn about real estate and rental properties and all that stuff. That dream has sort of like fizzled out a little bit because we wanted to build a house on the acreage. And I did in the solo podcast, I talked about having a home design and all of that stuff. And since that time, we've gotten quotes for building the house, and it's very expensive. So a 1,600 square foot bungalow with 3 bedrooms that didn't have a basement or anything or a garage was going to be almost $600,000. Craziness for that to build. So we're not sure whether that dream's going to happen this year. So we'll have to save a bunch of money in order to make that happen. But I wanted to have a place for people with disabilities to be able to go and rent that was in nature and, you know, secluded ish, because we live on one, or like our acreage is 1.5 acres. So I'm maybe having to pause that dream. So we'll see. I saw one of my favorite country singers with my sister, which was super fun. I went to a music festival with Joe's sister, who we haven't seen in a couple of years, which was really nice. What else? I'm trying to think about anything else that I did. I've went to my parents a bunch of times, like where my brother and my parents live on their big acreage, which is always fun. I get to spend time with my nieces and nephews. Planned birthday parties for my kids. Obviously, did a bunch of mom stuff. But yeah, that was my year.
Nice. What lessons did you learn?
Mostly just that I do a lot of things that feel good to do and sound good when I say them to people, but that don't actually move the needle in the things that I want to do, that I want to create. So I'm helping other people create the things that they want to create. I just get asked to do a lot of stuff. I'm at the hospital a lot. I just was filming for a thing last week it's like a project that I was a part of before and that they asked me to do more stuff on. And it's just, yeah, like a lot of little things that take up my time. And even just like mentoring people when I'm chatting with them on the phone, or I'm driving somewhere to drop something off, it's just a lot of little things that break up my day. And yeah, so my lessons are always I come back to this always, but I don't listen to it very good. Simplify to amplify. I don't focus. And I read a book like ages ago when my kids were little. That was like, it was called Scattered Focus or something like that. But it was all about your energy going little bits in all these different places. And yet the one thing that means something to you isn't getting traction. And if you just say no to all these things, even though that feels really bad at first, and you focus on the one thing, then everything else gets easier. And I have a really hard time with that. Plus, I live in my head. Like, I have a book for a reason, but I don't write things down and I don't plan things. And I just live in my head and I'm like, I'm going to do this at this time on this day, but it always stays up here. And eventually I get overwhelmed, and it's just really hard sometimes to, be me and have all this stuff in my head. It's just like a lot of clutter. So yeah, I think I just need to say no to a lot of the things that I'm doing, even though they do feel good to do when I'm doing them. But they're not really moving the needle on the things that I want to create or that I want to put out into the world. Yeah. And a lot of it is also just me not feeling motivated, but doing it anyway, because I keep just being like, I don't care. It's not that big of a deal. But it is a big deal because my integrity is at stake whenever I say that I am going to do something and then I don't do it. For example, on 2 podcasts ago, I was like, I'm going to have my community up and ready for people to join by the next podcast, which was the last podcast. And then I didn't have it ready. And then I just didn't say anything. And so things like that I do constantly, that because I was like, oh my God, Christmas is coming up. Well, how am I going to do this community that I said I'm going to have for people to join when I'm going to be busy and I'm going to have a puppy? And so then I was like, I got freaked out about what I was going to be able to actually have the capacity to do, instead of just being like, okay, I'm going to start the community and do my workout once a day that I would be doing anyway. And so I do a lot of those things where I'm just like, I'm going to do this. And then I'm like, no, I'm scared. I don't want to do it. I'm scared I'm going to not be good enough or whatever. And then I just retreat, which I always do when things feel scary, until something pushes me over the edge. And it's usually somebody or some level of discomfort that I can't stand anymore. But I wish I was better at chasing that pleasure rather than running away from discomfort, because I don't know, I'm just so conditioned to run away from discomfort in a lot of things.
And if you reckon, if you could do this year all over again with the power of hindsight, what would you change?
I don't know. I'm like, I honestly, it would be saying yes to a bunch of things that just allowed me to have a convenient excuse to not do the things that I said I was going to do. Because even just like, I say yes to lots of stuff. Like, as an example, my sister loves concerts. So she's always like, we should go to this concert. We should go to this concert. We should go to this concert. And I do like concerts. I do. But I keep saying yes to concerts that I don't actually care that much about. I'm going to Offspring. Does anybody like the Offspring? I'm going to them. I'm going to them in January. And I do like the Offspring. It's not like I don't like the Offspring, but I'm like, do I really care that much about it? So I spent like $500 getting tickets for me and Joe and Jacob and Jamie to go to this concert. And I'm like, I just wasted $500 on, an hour of my life seeing a band that I can listen to on Spotify. And
it's an experience with the family. Experiences mean stuff. They're memories.
Except it's not with the family, because you can only buy 2 wheelchair accessible tickets at the concert. So I'm going to be with Joe and my kids are going to be elsewhere with my sister. So I'll be with Joe.
They'll be having an experience.
They will. Yeah, it's fine. There's certain things that like I should just let them go with my sister, because she loves concerts and she would take them. So there's certain things that I never really know whether I'm saying yes to the right thing or the wrong thing or spending money on the right thing. I'm just very indecisive. And I think that's the problem, is that I have a hard time just choosing and being like, I'm going to do it and go. And this is what I'm doing. So I do that in a lot of areas of my life, which is exhausting at times.
Yeah. Nice. Well,
how about you? Is there anything you learned this year?
Yeah, there's certainly things that I forgot to mention. Well, like little, like smaller wins. Like for example, I've kept up my gratitude journaling every day for the whole year. Like apart from the very early mornings where I'm like, it's not really that important at 5 o'clock in the morning to write down what I'm grateful for, because well, maybe it is. I just feel like I don't want to get up even earlier than I have to. But on the whole, I've consistently wrote in my gratitude journal. I've consistently exercised, gone to the gym 3 times a week. I've gone swimming. I've eaten healthy. I've stayed in good shape. All these little wins that you kind of take for granted, like you were saying about the systems. They're systems that are in place. They don't slip away because, and also that their habit. Not necessarily habit stacks, but they're stacked with my girlfriend's habits. Chris, we go to the gym together. We eat healthy together. So we hold each other accountable. So those little wins are something I've been really proud of. But yeah, if I could go and do it again, I would. Like, I think this is what I say every year. I do a year in review. I'd be like, do you know what? I would have probably watched less YouTube because I don't know, like when I'm doing it, it feels nourishing at the time, but then it doesn't leave me feeling nourished. But sometimes it's great. It's entertaining. It's just entertaining. I'm just entertaining myself, but it feels sometimes, what's the word? Not vacant, but like empty. Like, I don't know. Just like I say, like my brain is like sort of dopamine, but all I'm doing is this, but like sometimes what I'm watching is nourishing, probably educational, probably quite fun at the time, but then you get into, I don't know, I don't want to like bang on about it too much, but yeah, I think I would watch YouTube less and try and just get out more and socialize with people more, and just like have real life experiences. rather than. And I know that Chris would love it if I looked at my phone less. It's definitely something that it's a bit of a turn off for her.
Mm-hmm. I think that accountability piece is so pivotal. Having a partner that, yeah, obviously your schedules align, that you can go to the gym and all of that stuff is so helpful. And it's one of those things that like it's like somebody has to be the first one to be like, yeah, let's not go to the gym today. You know what I mean? But you don't want to be the person to say it. So we're going to the gym today. Do you know what I mean? So I think that's so powerful, which is why this has been such a blessing for me, because I show up consistently every Monday or Tuesday, or normally Tuesdays, because I know that you're going to be here and you know that I'm going to be here. And even if you didn't feel like it, be like, I'm not going to do it today. Be like, Brittany's going to show up. So I'll show up, and I do the same thing. So that's why I am going to start the community. I promise I will. I promise I will after Christmas. And I'm going to try and do it with a puppy. But I'm also,
Yay.
I feel like I'm going to like stress out too much about that too. But yeah, it'll be good. It'll be good. I'm going to try and focus on one small thing every month that I can work on, which is partly why I want the community. Because if I start it and I show up and I know people are going to be there to do it with me, then I'm showing up for them as much as I'm showing up for myself. So yeah, let's get to some of the comments, because I know you have to leave right on the dot today.
Yeah, I've got to leave early. I also wanted to ask anyone if they've had any experience with chilblains. I've never even heard of chilblains.
Let's talk about that.
But might be a bit where I'm going to show people my foot. I got this. I don't know if you guys can see that. Like, where is it? Like, see these lumps on my feet? They're pretty gross. My foot has become lumpy and gross, and my spasms have ramped up, and so I used ChatGPT to like diagnose it, and uploaded pictures, and apparently it's called chilblains. Apparently, I've googled it. It looks exactly the same as what's on the pictures. Apparently it's to do with like feet getting very cold and then warming up too quickly. But either way, it is driving me nuts. My spasms have gone, like, my spasms aren't bad now, but my spasms have been like ramped up quite a lot because of the discomfort. My little toe, like on my other foot, is like swollen. I won't bother showing you, but yeah, see, even if I put my foot down like that, the only thing that pacifies it is if I have my foot up like this. But yeah,
does it feel like burning?
It just feels discomfort, it just feels uncomfortable, like almost like a throbbing.
Yeah.
And yeah, obviously the spasms are like a feedback of saying, hey, something's wrong. And I'm like, yeah, I know. Like, what the hell? My foot is all swollen and lumpy. Like, so I just wondered if anyone has had any experience with that. Any tips? Like, I don't know. ChatGPT said it should go away on its own, but it might take like 3 weeks. And I'm like, oh, okay. So I don't know.
If you guys do have, put it in the comments, and if you're watching afterwards, please put it in the comments too. If you're listening after the recording, because it'll be good for anybody, especially with a spinal cord injury. If your feet are cold and you can't really feel, something to watch for, to see if it's something. Is it like dangerous? What did the interwebs say about whether it was like dangerous?
No, it's just like an inflammation thing. Like, first of all, it thought it could be cellulitis, which was like really bad. Apparently, I'd never even heard of it. But like, you got to go to the doctor straight away, get some antibiotics, and then now it thinks it's chilblains, which I think is a very odd name. I think Chilblain sounds like the cool kid at school, Chilblain. Yeah, we're going over to Chilblain's house, to smoke weed. I don't know, but like, yeah, Chilblains. It's never even heard of it. But yeah, if you Google it, you just see pictures of like what my foot looks like, and it's.
That's interesting.
It's just uncomfortable.
I'm not seeing anything in the comments, so maybe people don't have. My right foot is numb today. Jim says his right foot is numb today. Oh, somebody is spelling my phone. Sorry, my phone is not on silent. So yeah, other than Jim's right foot being numb today, I don't think anybody has any experience with it. But that's interesting. I've never even heard of it. Yeah, chilblains. I thought it was like skis when you were first saying, have you ever heard of chilblains? I thought it was like
Yeah, like
what
a
are those?
clothing brand, like of skis
Yeah,
or something. Yeah, yeah.
something. Yeah, I thought it was like I was like no, so I thought it was gonna be something related to winter, which I guess it suppose it is. But before I forget, I want to do this giveaway because I don't want to forget to do that. So I'm gonna share my screen and then we'll
What
do
are you just gonna? Are
this.
you just gonna pick one at random?
It does it. It does it automatically.
Oh no way! Really? How do you do that?
Hang on, I have to show. It's just a giveaway tool right on StreamYard. It
No way.
automatically shows it. Yeah. So the 8 people have put the hashtag in there. So if either Fred or I come up, although I suppose you could enter Fred since I'm doing the giveaway, but if my name comes up, I'll redraw.
Yes.
I feel like that's hilarious. I don't know if I want to give you the.
StreamYard has spoken, baby.
I'm drawing again. You've read the book already. That's
all right, all right. Still, that was fun. This is fun. We should do giveaways more often, or we should just do this. Just like, yeah.
If it picks me, okay.
Hey.
Okay.
Internet
So
Pallets.
Internet Pallets 6567. Can you please email me? I'm gonna put it in.
Oh, I won! I felt that was really fun watching my name come up there. That was great. We should do this every week.
Oh yeah, it is fun. So Entel, Callets, whatever thing, but pick normal names, you guys. I'm gonna stop sharing my screen now. You can email me and you can give me your address and I'll just send the book to you right from Amazon. But yeah, I'm gonna read the book again as part of like the thing in my community when it starts right after Christmas. And
poor old Intranet. Like, you're like, get a normal name. She's like, that's my name.
It might be. Sorry, I don't mean it. I'm always like trying to read it, and I'm like, getting like nervous.
Intranet Callets is on my Patreon. I think that's her name. I think it's her name. Yeah.
Oh,
like,
okay.
Get a normal name.
Okay, now I feel really bad.
That's funny.
Sorry if that is your normal name. I'm sorry. That is like me. I always make fun of kids when their parents spell their names wrong. I'm like, guys, go home and tell your parents to use phonetic spelling so that I don't look like an asshole when I'm reading out your names. I don't say asshole, but I'm like, so I don't look so dumb. Because so many times I'm trying to read names on attendance sheets. I'm like, I'm sorry, guys. I don't know what this is. But anyway, Fred has to go because he's off to another Zoom meeting. So
the other thing that I was going to say was just about my year in review. I had forgotten about the magic. I've done loads of magic this year.
So much magic. Yeah, that's like a big one.
So loads of magic on the pod, loads of magic off the pod, loads of compliments on my magic, and that's something I want to move towards as well, which I forgot to mention, but I think it's worth mentioning before we go. Something also I've been very proud of. So basically, my year in review, a lot to be proud of, a lot to be grateful for. Fantastic, but then, you know, like I said, just the little bits in between were just filled with nonsense. Could do better. Always room for improvement. But overall, fantastic. You know, moved in with Chris, moved into a new house. You know, built a home. You know, so loads to be grateful for. But yeah,
craziness. In contrast to my. Didn't do anything I said I was going to do, but that's okay. I still did a lot of things that I didn't say I was going to do, which is now I just need to put those on my list and check it all off and be like, damn, I accomplished so much this year. Anyway, Merry Christmas, everybody. We'll see you right after. We're going to see you before New Year's, I believe, because it's like the 30th when we're back. So we'll see you just before New Year's.
Yeah, I'd forgotten about that. Merry Christmas, everybody. Merry Christmas. And I'll show you real quick. Look at all these little cards. Look. Oh, if it reaches, look. Can you see them?
Yes.
Da, 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 da. All the little cards.
Love it.
Yay.
Nice.
Funsies. Whee. Right, anyway. Merry Christmas. Whee.
Merry Christmas, everybody. And we will be back next week on the 30th is the Tuesday. So, yeah.
Ho, ho, ho. Merry Christmas.
Okay.
Right. See you later.
Bye, guys.
Bye.